Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's Mike. It's Friday, the 6th of September. This is our weekly recap, and boy, what a week it's been. First of all, it was a short week, right, in the markets, and that was nice. And it was not a difficult week, it was a week filled with gaps. But there were things to do, ways to make money, and there was some interesting flow this week that came out. And if you're interested in learning more about me, this goes out to everybody in my service and free people. Just drop by and visit me at smartoptiontrade.com or hit me up on Twitter at Options Mike. Best way right there. You catch me real quick. Which is me. You catch me up quick at Options Mike. All right. So what made this week so difficult? It was gappy. All right. Gap up, gap up, gap down, gap up, gap up. And today was the first day we didn't get a big gap in either direction, just a small gap. And what we were able to do this week was get rid of a lot of the angst and overhangs on this market, whether it was the Hong Kong situation starting to simmer down with the removal of the bill, with the chance of a no exit Brexit lessening based upon what Parliament did to Johnson in England. And then we had, of course, the big gap on the China's coming to the United States for trade talks in early October now. We'll see. And then we had today, obviously, the jobs report and Powell. And Powell didn't say or do anything inflammatory here. So that's all that really matters. And that's really all you're looking for in that. And this made this week difficult, tough, very low volume on most of the days. You can see again here today, Friday, it's 2:30. We're only 31 million shares. You can see on Wednesday, we only did 47. And this is very, very typical of this week. Volume doesn't typically return to the market to the week after the week of Labor Day. So we look for that to come back in next week and see what they do. That said, we had a clear break of this range. We gapped above it, the 50-day, which was right at 294. We've been talking about that. We spoke about all week here the series of higher lows from here to here to here, and then finally we pushed. By the way, this was the market and turmoil special. That CNBC. Whenever they run that, it's usually the end. And now, for me, I think there's a good chance if we have no news, this market tries to push ahead of the Fed meeting on the 19th to an all-time high above 302, and we'll look to see what names we want to be involved in. For me this week, I didn't trade heavily or big, but I did trade it and caught Square on those upgrades and made some nice money earlier on this move in Square on that day. Traded Twitter a bunch of times, okay, especially yesterday with commons and calls, not back in it here today. Traded Roku a couple times, lost a little bit at one time, made some money the other times. Traded Micron for some nice money, took a small loss in Fay, traded Medco, Coles. So, I was pretty busy. And you can see here, mostly with common this week, a little bit of options. Couple losers, always are, but most of all, nice, steady green week. Not a huge week, but, up significantly for the week. Anytime I come into a week and I put $1,500 plus in my pocket, I'm okay and I can move forward. That's how I feel this week. Again, not trying to talk, to brag or anything, just this type of week. I didn't play aggressively, but I was making money consistently every day. And that's all that really matters. What really stood out today this week was some of the flow, and some of that flow is still worth keeping an eye on. Whether it was Activision, and they came in and they hit those calls last week, and then this week they did the October 55 by 60 call spread. We'll keep an eye on that as that's gapped up and acting very, very different here, right? Trying to get going is a name we can keep an eye on. Bausch and Lomb, again, one of those names that frustrates everybody, but you look at this on a daily chart here, they bought these calls at the beginning of the week, and we got the move back down, right? Bought a little more yesterday, and then today you finally got the extension. Those were the April 25s they were playing with mostly. So you had to be patient in this market this week. It really had to be a lot of patience there. Twitter, they were all over it, and then yesterday they just absolutely obliterated the next week's 47 calls. I sold mine on the open today. It pulled. I didn't get back in. You can see it's still pushing up over here. SYMC getting bought out. Just coming in here. Dow Jones getting bought out here. So SYMC. $26 to $27 per share. And still allow Broadcom to buy it. So that would be a good deal for SYMC if they could pull that off. 26 to 27 a share getting bought out by some other people. So a little bit of late afternoon fireworks there. Twitter, Snap, they've been all over Snap all week. finally woke up today. The 1650 calls for next week were huge. Didn't do anything. Woke up here today. FireEye, the same type of thing, right? So very, very, very busy stuff this week, whether you like that or not. Today it was Box. Box had a big move today, up off this week. Starboard bought a stake in it, and after Starboard bought a stake, now you have buyout chatter on it. Whether that happens or not, we'll have to wait and see, but that one's trying to get going here. So Box trying to wake back up again. We'll see if that one can get going. And lastly, there's this little guy called Medco. And what makes Medco so interesting here is that it's all buyout flow, all out into January 55, 60, 65s, ton of flow out there. And it's very, very typical what we see in a name to look at a buyout. So bottom line, we'll go into next week. We'll see what the market wants to do next week. It was a decent week, and I hope everybody had a good one and enjoys their long weekend, and I'll catch you all next week. Charts on Sunday.